Okay, now that I've removed almost all the black sand, you can see how little is left now. It's down to the point where continued panning runs the risk of losing gold. It's just too hard to keep those tiny particles from escaping when you get down that far. If you remember earlier in the video, I have a pan in this tub that's catching everything right now. So if I accidentally lose a little flake or something, I can just I'll get it back because I'm going to repan that. It's called a safety pan. And then I'll probably save that material anyway and give it to somebody who has a blue bowl. You start to see the gold starting to come out, starting to move, so I run the risk of losing a gold piece. If I continue, some of that lead I don't mind going by, the little gray, the dull gray. But we don't want to lose the gold. I can still pan a little bit, but it gets kind of hairy when you start seeing those little gold specks migrate down toward the water. You don't want to lose them. We get the last of the magnetite out of there. A little bit left. And anytime I'm not sure if I've maybe picked up some gold, I just drop it right back in my pan again and have a look. Make sure I didn't accidentally capture a piece of gold in with the magnetite, which I'm going to save anyway, but you just want to try and avoid losing gold as you're going through your cleanup process as much as possible. So that's about all the magnetic material that I'm going to be able to capture. It's down to panning, and then the final technique to separate what's left in there without running the risk of having it go out of your pan. It's a method used by pretty much everyone I've seen that involves tipping. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it's what I call it, tipping. You can see the gold is starting to peek through because there's just enough black sand there that it can't settle anymore to the bottom. And we don't want to lose any of that. So, one more try here. Get a little more black sand out. It makes the tipping part that much easier. Now you're going to see silver in here. That's mercury. There's mercury on this gold from the old miners' process that they used because mercury sticks to gold and it clumps together, and it allowed them to find some of the finer gold that otherwise they couldn't get, and that's why they used mercury even though it was hazardous. They didn't know it back then. So right now what I'm doing is actually removing mercury from the river. It's stuck to the gold. So this is a benefit to the ecosystems and the health of the river. By removing mercury in my process, I'm capturing gold that has mercury stuck on it. Alright, now we're going to go to the tipping method. I also wanted to show you my technique, although I'm sure there are many and everybody's got a little different style to it for using the magnet to remove your black sand. You don't want to just dive it in there and pick up a big clump, because there could be gold particles trapped in between the iron particles. So what I try and do is swirl it, agitating it so the gold tries to go to the bottom and the iron particles are swirling around, and in the very shallowest area where the iron is swirling toward the top, I'm hoping most of my gold will be staying down in the bottom, and what's swirling up at the top will be just iron as I pull each one off. I'll also go back at some point and rerun all the iron that I pulled off in a blue bowl when I have time. It's kind of a more tedious process. You might find a few more specks in your iron that way. But I swirl it, and you can see that the depth of the material is down here at the bottom of the pan. wherever gravity is causing it to be the deepest, and that's where the gold should be. So I want to catch some of the iron as it swirls up to the top, pull it off on the magnet, and hopefully that will avoid picking up any gold particles. So that's my method. Okay, it's going to be a little tricky for me to make sure I'm staying in frame and that you can sort of see it, but you just take your material that's collected at the top with a small amount of water in the pan and tip. And the heavies tend to stay up at the top, and the black sand will gradually migrate down as you continue to tip. See how the black sand just floats down? Hopefully you're seeing that. Let me adjust it a little bit. And when the gold starts to travel a little too much too, a few taps make it creep back up. So you just continue this process of gently tipping until you shake it around a little bit. Try to get the gold to move a little bit. Free up some more of that black sand, so when you tip the pan, it slides out. You might have to catch a stray particle that wants to go down to the bottom as well. You can see dull gray pieces that are lead. There's some lead up there. If they want to travel out, that's fine. If not, we'll get them manually. So I'm going to repeat this until I have removed all of the last little bits of remaining black sand to the best of my ability. And the only thing that will be left, and you can see it's getting quite silvery now instead of being all nice and gold. That's that mercury. It tends to migrate onto all the other pieces that are in there. We'll remove that mercury once we've got the black sand out of it. And now for the fun part. Always nice to see some gold going up into your snufter bottle. And away it goes. So we can dry that out. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Little gold specks left in there. Looks like all lead. Good to go. But you save it anyway for the blue bowl. So that's it, start to finish, from raw material through the classifier. I still haven't done my plus 20s, but it's the same process, only larger, slightly larger bits of material, and I don't expect to find any in there because it just hasn't been in this area, so I'm not going to bother. Probably won't bother too much showing you that unless I find something. I'll do a little excerpt showing you what I find there. Into a safety pan. So now I can repan this stuff and make sure I didn't miss anything, collecting all the black magnetized stuff, save it for another day and run it through a blue bowl, start to finish. You're in the snuffer bottle. There's our gold for one day. I'd say a pennyweight and a half. Probably not 2, but maybe it'll get close to 2 pennyweight. I'm not going to hold my breath. And you can see the silveriness of it. That's the mercury. We're going to remove that. And it'll be all nice and gold when we're done. That's what miners do on their day off.